another arcade fix. Today we're back in the arcade and we're going to be working on Raw Thrills Batman. Okay, well the problem we're going to be working on today with the Raw Thrills Batman is with the steering wheel. And the problem with the wheel is not the wheel itself, but the thumb buttons. You have two thumb buttons, one on the right, one on the left. And you wouldn't think there'd be a whole lot of problem with them. Of course, they have micro switches in them that can go bad, but the switch itself isn't bad. What's happened with this one is somebody has broke the lens, and you can see right here it's got a crack right across it. And right now the button is working fine, but a couple months ago this button started hanging up, and you'd push it and it would stay down, which would keep the fire energized all the time. So you couldn't actually play the game. It just made the game unplayable. So what you could do, I could just take the panel down, and these two switches, each one has a plug on it, plugs into the harness. I could unplug this one and this one would be fine, and you could play the game with this one button. Okay, that's one option. The other option I had, because I didn't have a button to replace this with, I went ahead and took it apart and took the button out of the housing here, and it's very tight to work on when it's still in the handle, because you got the wire runs down to this, under this hubcap right here, and then runs through the column and underneath the control panel where it plugs in. So it's not a whole lot of spare wire there to work with. And the wires on the switch are soldered to the switch, as you'll see in a minute or two here. But I was able to get it out far enough to where I disassembled the switch and cleaned it, because what happened is with this break in here, people's hands got oil on them. And we're here in a movie theater, and of course you got popcorn oil and whatever. And when people play the game, they're constantly pushing that oil and dirt down in that crack and dust and everything. Eventually it fills up that gap and it's pushing this plastic apart, and when it does that, it's hanging up on the sides, so that was causing it to stick. So I took it apart and I cleaned all the dirt out of it and the grease and cleaned it up real good, and it's been working fine for a couple months now, but it's getting to the point now where it's going to start hanging up again, so we're going to go ahead and replace it. The boss man sent me a brand new switch. Now, the button isn't just a button. Let me show you what I got. Okay, well here's the replacement button. And as you can see here, it's not just a button. It's the button, the switch, and the harness, complete harness. And see if I can focus in on that. That's the part number if you're needing a harness and button. Now, you could probably, if the micro switch went bad, you could probably just replace the micro switch. It looks like a standard micro switch, just like used in a lot of the current gun games. But the wires are soldered on, they're not plugged on, so you'd have to have your soldering equipment and you'd have to solder these wires on. So anyway, we got the complete harness, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to install this harness, and let's get started and show you how it's done. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is take these 4 security screws out and remove this Batman steering wheel cap, because we have to access the center of the steering column here. It's where the wires come down and go into the under the control panel here. And if you've seen some of my other videos, you'll know that a couple of years ago or so, I forget exactly when it was, they came out with a service bulletin talking about the wires to these buttons. They're lighted buttons, but I disabled them in that video, mainly because it came out with a warning for a fire hazard, because when these first originally came out, well, I'll show you when I get it apart here, but they used metal springs instead of the nylon to surround the wires. So it was a deal where it was possible to get a short and cause a meltdown of some kind. Okay, get a little screwdriver here. I can find it. There we go. It's kind of a tight fit. And right here is where the wires come through and then run through this center hole right here. So now that we got this loose, since this is the button that's broke, we're just going to take this side off, and there's a cover on the back side here we're going to take loose. It's got 2 security screws in it. So let's do that next. Okay, now what we have to do is take this cover off the back where the wires run through the back side of the wheel down into the center part of the hub here. It has a security screw here, so we'll go ahead and take this one out right here since this is the easiest one to get to. Now, the other one is right here. And because this is sort of not round but oval, you get more room if you put it straight up and down. So even at that, this long wrench is not going to get in there. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take the security bit and stick it in there. And you can take a pair of needle nose pliers or whatever you got handy and just loosen it up. And then you should be able to take it out by hand. Okay, with that out, now we can get this cover off. And this cover is just hides the wires and the back of the button here. Okay, well, this is a little difficult to get this shot because this is back behind the steering wheel here. And anyway, this is the button, and this is the back side of the button. Now, it's got a little metal clip here. What you do is you take a screwdriver and you just put under this metal clip and you just pull it up and pull it out. And that little clip goes in slots as in the button and in the wheel housing here, and that's what actually holds the button in. So with that little clip out, you can actually now pull the button out of the steering wheel housing here. Now we're going to have to pull this wire up through here. So what we have to do next is take the control panel loose and unplug the switch in the back. Okay, now we're just going to drop the control panel down so we can get to the wires underneath. And the last one, I have to hold pressure up on it because it's on a hinge, and as soon as I take this loose, it's going to drop down. Okay. Now let's see what we got to do under here. Okay, well, just like I said back in the beginning, you never know what we're going to get into. Like I say, I've never done this before, so this is a new experience for me as it is for you if you've never done it before. These are the wires right here, and they have two clamps holding them down right on the control panel. It's studs with nuts with lock washers behind it, so I had to break out the Craftsman ignition wrench set because it's on an angle up towards the steering mechanism here, which makes it impossible to get a socket on it. So I'm going to have to take these two nuts loose. I also need to cut this cable tie right here. And another thing you want to always keep with you are plenty of cable ties so you can put these back. And I should have plenty of them with me. And also, these are the two wires that go to the two buttons. If you see my earlier video about the modification about the fire hazard, I disconnected the red buttons and just taped them up here out of the way to disable the 5 volts going into the steering wheel. That way it eliminates any chance of any fire hazard. So anyway, we're just going to unplug both of these because I don't know which is which right now. And I need to undo this tape that I put on. And if I can find the beginning, it's going to make it easy. But you know how hard it is sometimes to find tape where you done taped something. Especially a good quality electrical tape. I think that's it right there. Okay. And looks like I put more than one piece on there. Okay. Just go ahead and cut it off. Okay, now I got these two wires separated. You would think that the one on the right goes to the right switch and the one on the left goes to the left switch. It may not. I don't know. So let's go ahead and take the left one off on that premise. And I may not have to take the other one off. Get a little closer shot here. And this is a nut with a built-on lock washer. So we'll put that over here because we don't want it falling down in these control panel holes here. And we can go ahead and open this clamp up a little bit so we can slide it off, because we're going to have to put that back on the new one. And well, it's good and loose, got plenty of play there. So that's a good sign. The thing is, we're going to have to go through the hole this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and tape a piece of wire to this and pull it through, and then when I put the new one on, I'll tape it up and I'll be able to pull it back through. So let me go ahead and get set up for that, and we'll be right back. Okay, well, remember how I said there's always simple things that turn into not so simple things? It appears that these wires here, something else is holding them in. So I'm going to go ahead, since I've never had one of these apart before, I'm going to take these 3 socket head screws out right here and see if this whole wheel will come off, and see if I can see what's up behind it. Like I say, a lot of times you just have to, if you've never done it before, it may take a little longer to do it, and you may have to wind up doing things that you really didn't have to do if you knew better, but since you don't know, that's the way you learn. No problem. And if this ever happens again, then we'll know how to do it. And if you ever get a hold of one that needs to be done, then you'll know how to do it too if you watch this video. Okay, wheel is definitely coming loose, so that's a good sign. All right, now let's see what it looks like. Okay. All right, there's the little bugger. It seems like that it's fairly loose where it goes through the hub here, but right here on the back side is a tie strap. That tie strap is holding the two together. So, trying to think now whether I want to pull them both out together or try to get them out one at a time. All right. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this little tie strap. That's why we couldn't pull it through. And it looks like they flattened the tie strap. When they tighten this down, they actually tighten the tie strap down against it. So they flatten the head of the tie strap. I've never seen that before. Okay. Now I've had to put a screw back in here to hold this panel back up. So let me take this screw back out and drop this down and see if I can see what it looks like down in here. Oh boy, that wire is looped around the wheel. Why would they loop that around the wheel like that? I don't know. Strain relief, I guess. Okay, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to figure out which one I need to get loose, which is the broken one, which is right here. Figure out which one it is here. This one right here. So I'm going to go ahead and tie this wire onto it. wrap it with electric tape. I'm going to cut this little end off so it don't get stuck on anything. And now I want to make sure I don't pull this one out, so let's see. Just wrap this around this right here. Put my screw back in and hold my panel up. Okay, wonder if I'm doing this the hard way. Okay, now let me find the right one again. This one right here. Now let's see if I can pull it out. I'm thinking I'm close. But you know what? I bet it's not going to come out because of that connector on there. All right. Plan B. Let's pull it back through. Take this tape off. Take the wire back off. And we'll take the connector off. Just got to push these little tabs in. And they'll come right out. All right. Okay, this is turning into one of them deals. Okay, got the old tape off. Okay, let's put the wire back on with tape this time. And instead of tying a knot in it, we've got to make this as small as we can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in the middle here. And just run a loop around it. Then I'm going to take the wire and bend it over. Okay. Now we ought to be able to get that through there, hopefully. Let's try this again. Again, figure out which one it is. And there we go. We got it out. Now I'm wondering if I can put it back in without taking that other connector off the new one. Let's open up the new one here. And there's the new one here. And this looks like a standard little micro switch like it's in the trigger of any of the gun shooting games. The only difference is the wires are soldered on. Then you got the two extra wires, the red and the black, which go inside the switch. Actually, it's the purple. Okay, the purple and the red. They actually go up into the switch, and it's a little LED board in here with a surface mount LED, and that's what lights the button up. Okay. You know, I'm thinking I might be able to pull this back through with that on. I might try that. Of course, we're going to have to get it through here too, so let me go ahead and take this loose. I'm going to take this tape off and I'll be right back. Okay, I got the tape off, so now I'm going to have to fish this wire through the steering wheel on this side and then push it through the back. And now I need to pull it through the button end right here. And we have this one out. So we can go ahead and put the new one in. And we'll just shove that in. Okay, now to put this back in, we got to put that little clip back in. this thing right here. Let me see if I can focus in on it. It has a little channel right here, a little channel right here, and a little channel here. So little three sides. It's a little cut-in channel. There's one side that it's not there. That's the side that goes to the front, because the little clip, what did I do with the little clip? And it's here somewhere. There it is. The little clip is sort of three-sided, and that's what it goes in. It lines up and slides in there and holds it in. So we got to make sure we put the side that doesn't have it out to the front. So we just slide the button in. And let me see if I can get this. To where we can see it. And now I put the clip in with the little bent up side facing towards the back. And you take and push it right in. And that's all it is to it. Now that's installed. But I should have put the wires down underneath it. Okay. So let me pull it back out. Let's go ahead and put these wires back in through here. The connector did fit through that slot, so that was good. All right. The only one we got to worry about is that red one. And we'll pick the red one up and bring it over the top edge. Let's see. Let's see how that works. Yeah. That'll definitely work. Now we can put this clip back in, hold the button in place, and now we can stuff our wires back in there. And actually, this is a good time to put this cover back on. Probably you should take the wheel off in retrospect, and since you got to take the wheel off, you can take this off after you take the wheel off. Okay, now I got to find the right screws for that. Let me find the right screws and we'll come back. Okay, I found the correct screws. Okay. So that part is all done. All right. The only thing I see that's different is this one, this cover, it's not going to go up in there unless I shove these wires up in there. Let's see. Okay, I got those back in. Now we can go ahead and put this back on, but I'm gonna leave it off for now. Can't put it on because we got to put these screws back in. So, okay. All right. Now the question is, can we get this in with this connector on it? Well, we can try. All right. I'm going to stick the wire. Let's see. Now I'm going to do it just like this. Put the wire right in the middle. Now bend it over. I need to make this a little more pointed. So it'll thread better. All right, we'll see what happens here. We can fit it through this. Okay. Well, that plug's not going to fit through it. Okay. So, means I'm going to have to take the plug off. All right, let me take all this tape off and I'll get the plug off and we'll come right back. Okay, well, I got the plug off the wire and I got the wire taped up with electric tape. So let's see if we can't feed this wire through here. I certainly don't want to lose the other one. Okay. And we have the wire through. All right. So we got both of them. So now what we need to do is put the wheel back on. And if I can find, yeah, the screws for that. Socket head screws. I should be able to go ahead and just put this bolt in here to hold the control panel up. Because I believe these will go in kind of easy now. And you see where that old one was wrapped up around that wheel in there. Okay, now the steering wheel has to sit I gotta find the center. That's all the way to the right. So that's the center. It did have a little tie strap there. But let me do this. I'm going to pull this through here. I'm going to put the tie strap on this outside. So let me get a tie strap and I'll be right back. Okay, got me a tie strap here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push these wires out. And this one needs to go up there. I'm going to put a tie strap I'd rather have it around the front side here. Okay, now I want that up there. That about there. So I'll tighten up that tie strap. I'll cut it off flush. Now I can push these down in here. All right. Now we can push these in. go ahead and put our screws back in. And last one. All right, go ahead and tighten these down. And don't want to over tighten them, but we don't want the steering wheel falling off either. All right. And now we can go ahead and put the hub back on while we got it in this position. Whoops. That only goes on one way. Now, there's the screws for it here. See if I can find the right driver for it. Yep, that's it. One more. And you don't want to over tighten these either, because the hub piece that you're screwing down is plastic. So if you tighten it too tight, you can crack it. Also, I believe the threads it's going into is a brass piece, but it's one of those pieces that are molded into the plastic, and if you over tighten those, they can break loose and strip out. Okay, we're all done here. So let's let the control panel back down. And now we're going to have to finish our wires. Okay. Now I want to make sure we got enough wire here to when we turn the wheel, alright, that should be pretty good. Now we'll go ahead and put these metal hold downs back on, wire clamps, or wire, just regular wire clamps. And we'll even put them back the way they had them, since we were changing the left button. The left button turned out to be the one on the right. So we'll put the new one back on this side. we'll go ahead and tighten this one down. Just want to give it enough play in there so it doesn't pull on those wires. Okay, got that one down. And let's get this other one on. And put it on the wrong way. It goes the other way. Get this nut started. Get these about the same length. Tighten this one down. And I'll have to do this left-handed, even though I'm not left-handed. Need a little set of those ratcheting boxed in wrenches might fit. Well, they're probably too big to fit this. That ain't too bad. Open end wrench should get it. Okay. That's all back together. Now, what I'm gonna have to do is go ahead and take this electric tape off. And maybe I can get this off a little easier than the rest of it has been. I tried to at least put it on so that it would come off easy. But this is real stretchy tape, so sometimes it doesn't come off all that easy. Yeah, it's wanting to be a pain. I don't know what I can do. Find my cutters here. I just cut it off where the tape is boogered up, because I don't really need that anymore. And now it should unravel. I don't want to bend these connectors because I'm going to have to put them back in the housing. Of course, if worse comes to worse, I'd have to put new connectors on the end of the wires here, but shouldn't have to do that. And I hope I don't have to do it today because I couldn't. I don't have any with me. I don't usually keep a whole lot of connectors with me. If I know I'm going to need something, I'll bring them with me, but it's a lot of stuff to bring if you're not going to need it. All right, now since I bent these little tabs down, what you have to do is bend them back up so they'll lock back in place. A lot of times you can just take your fingernail and catch right under them and bend them right up, and then they'll lock right back in place. And then once in a while, you might have to take a little screwdriver or a little pick, straight pin, anything to get in there. They're rather small, so they're kind of hard to get to. All right, I'm going to put the connector back on that came with them. All right, now to get these right, I'm going to go, well, I can go by the old one here because they're both identical. Slightly different plug, but it ought to plug in. Actually, that plug is not going to plug into that. Ain't that odd? It's got these two little tabs on them here. It's essentially the same plug. It's just that this one's got a little lip. And this one here has got the little tabs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, since I got it off, I'm going to put the original one back on. All right, so we'll line up the original one so the white one goes in the end. And you just push them until they click. All right, next we got the purple. All right. Then we got the black. This one here ain't cooperating. Okay, now it's in. Now we have the red. Now, since I did the modification, we're not using the lighted LED in the button. So just like this other one here, we're not going to use it. So I'm just going to tape it up and put it out the side just like I did before. But if you were using the LED, then you'd go ahead and hook that red wire in there. Now, there's no power to this button, but still I'm just going to put some tape on it just to keep the connector clean and to protect it. And that way, if in the future anybody wants to enable the buttons and get the buttons working, then by all means, all they got to do is just put those red wires into the socket there. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is just go ahead and put some tape, the two wires together here. Now we can plug them in. Let me get them on camera here. All right, here's the two connectors. It doesn't matter which plugs into which. Just make sure you get it connected correctly, and it really only goes one way, but they're color coded the same, so as long as you keep the white on the white side, you're good to go. All right, now they're plugged in. Now last thing we need to do is put another tie strap in here. And let's see, hope I got another one handy here. Yeah, here we go. So, we'll just put a tie strap here. Clip it, and we're good to go. Okay. While we're in here, just check the tension on our belt for the force feedback for the steering. All that looks good. Here's the steering pot. If you ever have a steering pot go bad, you have a socket head screw right here. Just take this loose, and then you can just pick this whole bracket and assembly right up out of here, and you can change this and put it back. This is one of the pots where the wires are soldered on, so if you change a steering pot on the Batman, you're going to have your soldering iron to do it. All right, well, we don't have to worry about that because we don't have a problem with that. So let me go ahead and get this back out here, and I'll go ahead and put the dashboard back up. Yeah, that's the one for it. Go ahead and tighten this one down first. All right, one more screw in the panel. Now we're all done, ready to try it out. Okay, we'll fire the game back up. So let's go ahead and see if our new switch is working. I could just put it in test mode, but what's the fun in that? Let's go ahead and coin up and play a game. This game is set for 4 tokens.
Greetings, Batman. Select your mission.
All right, let's do easy.
Mr. Freeze. Select your Batmobile.
Okay, Batmobile got to be you got to go with the classic Batman from the TV show. I mean, Adam West. He was Batman. Let's face it. Okay.
Detective, just in time to witness the awakening of a new ice age.
I usually skip through this, but it doesn't take long to go through.
Mr. Freeze just broke out of Arkham Asylum.
All you gotta do is press the bat button here and you can skip all that. Okay. Let's see what happens. Alright, the right button's working. Left button is working. So we have success. Alright. Let's go ahead and play around here. Too bad so far.
Oh dear, ice mix. How ghastly.
Battery wear should topple those tin cans.
Okay.
Follow the brightly colored turn arrows, Master Bruce.
Target destroyed. 2 remaining.
Once my freeze machines are complete, a new ice age shall reign upon this cursed town.
Wrong way. I'm just running over everything. I gotta get back on the right path now. There we go.
Threat neutralized. Mission complete.
The sky above now belongs to me, Detective.
I don't recall it ever being for sale, Freeze.
Master Bruce, please steer towards the upcoming aerial transport.
Okay. I usually don't last long after I get in the aerial vehicle here.
Transfer complete. Target destroyed. 8 remaining.
Yeah. Yep. That's about normal for me.
Insert clock.
Take heed, Batman.
Okay, well, everything seems to be working fine. So my job is done here.
Insert guidance to continue.
So let's go ahead and sum up what we did.
Insert guidance.
Okay, well, that turned out to be a fun little job. Like I say, I'd never done this before, so it was my first time. So things went relatively well. I did learn a few things, like instead of taking this back piece off first, just go ahead and take the hubcap off, take your 3 socket head bolts out, and just take the steering wheel off, and that way you can easily get to the screws on this back piece right here. And then, well, if you watched the video, you've seen what we had to do to take the connector off that new harness and get it to slide in. Plus, the connector on the new harness really wasn't plug and play. I mean, it would have worked if we had to clip those little edges off, or a couple little things we could have done. But since we had to pull the wires out of the connector anyway, it was just a lot easier to go ahead and put the old one back on. So anyway, good deal. We now have a new button harness installed in the Batman, so we won't have to worry about that button freezing up again. So if you like our little video series here, Arcade Fix, hit the subscribe button, share it. You can share it on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, and email it, a link to your friends, anybody that you think might be interested in it. And subscribe to the channel. We hope to keep bringing you videos in the future, and hopefully we'll get some real interesting things. So in the meantime, this has been another Arcade Fix. Have you had your Arcade Fix today?